Hi, my name is Ashish, and in this video we will see integrate a single AD forest to Azure with password through authentication. So in the previous video we did password hash synchronization. In this video we will use password through authentication. So let me just quickly log on to the portal and take it from there. I am logged on to the portal. So we have covered all the steps in the previous video: creating a virtual machine, installing EDDS role, promoting that server as a domain controller, and then configuring and installing Azure AD Connect, downloading it, configuring it, making a global admin in our Azure AD, and then installing Azure AD Connect and connecting it through the enterprise admin role account to the Azure AD so that they can talk to each other, and then the synchronization manager service on my domain controller, or if you install it on a member server, that service will be registered and you will be able to sync from that server. So now let's say if you want to use password through authentication here, right? So you will go to your domain controller. So let me just click on it. This is the IP. It's already here. I will log on to my domain controller. It is logging me in. Wonderful. Now, if you remember, I configured my Azure AD Connect to sync a specific OU. You can either sync the complete domain or all of the OUs to Azure AD. But when I filter the OU that I want to sync with Azure AD through Azure AD Connect, until and unless my user account is in that particular OU that I have marked for sync, other users, if they are in separate OU, will not be synced. Let me show you how. So if I minimize it, if I double click on Azure AD Connect shortcut, it will launch. The synchronization service scheduler is suspended until the setup wizard is closed because I am configuring it. That is why at the time when I am configuring, it would not go ahead and sync, right? So I will click on configure and it will say customize synchronization options. Select it, click on next, and then in here write in the password for your global admin. It will connect after verifying the credentials from Azure AD so that you are a valid user who is making this change. It's examining domains now. This is my forest that I am syncing, and my directory type is AD active directory, and my domain is azure.local. So I click on next. Sync. If you select sync all domains and OUs, everything will be synced, right? And if you say sync selected domains and OUs, you will see that my corporate users OU is syncing. So if I open my active directory users and computer snap-in, right? So in corporate users, I have John as a user. If in case I create another OU, management users, right? And I'll create one more user here. Eric. Eric at azure.local. Type in the password. I'm unchecking this. Now, if I go here, until and unless I select, so if I previous and do next, because I just created it, that is why it's not coming. I've only selected corporate users. So until my users are in this OU, they will not be synced, right? So if you click on next, I'll say password hash synchronization, right? And if you want to go for pass-through authentication, when you install and download Azure AD Connect, right? At the time of installation, remember we selected the express installation, right? If you would have clicked on customize, and you would have got an option under user sign in that you would use the password through authentication. Okay, so let me tell you in brief what exactly is password pass-through authentication. So this Azure AD pass-through authentication will allow your users to sign into both on-premise and cloud-based application using the same password. This feature provides your users a better experience and one less password to remember, right? So if I would have separate passwords for my on-prem applications and separate passwords for my cloud or SaaS based application, then it will be confusion. User would have to remember multiple passwords, right? And it would also reduce my IT help desk cost, because users, as we all know, we can, as an admin also, we tend to forget our passwords or how to sign in. When users sign in using Azure AD, this feature validates users' password directly against the on-premise Active Directory, because that user is already synced with my Azure AD. And when I'm logging on to any SaaS-based application, and if I have selected while doing the custom installation that I'm going to use pass-through authentication, my users would be able to use the same password to log on to my on-prem and my cloud-based application, right? This feature is an alternative to password hash synchronization, or PHS, that we enabled in the previous video. So if I just highlight this, so it says that password hash synchronization, by enabling PHS, users can sign into Azure without the need to deploy an additional SSO infrastructure, right? What does it mean? It means that it provides the same benefit of cloud authentication to organization. However, certain organizations wanting to enforce their on-prem AD security and password policies can choose to use pass-through authentication, right? So how would this workflow work, right? So if I'm a user who is signing on to my Microsoft AD or Office 365 SaaS or some kind of line of business applications, his or her identity would be synchronized using Azure AD Connect, right? Which in turn is syncing my users and passwords from Windows on-prem Windows AD, right? When this pass-through authentication agent comes into picture, it would validate the authentication and passwords and the user identity from my on-prem AD, right? So I don't have to go and have separate passwords like I said earlier. So during the custom installation of your Azure AD Connect, you can enable the pass-through authentication feature and you would have benefit for it. So once again, so what is password hash, right? So PHS or password hash synchronization is one of the sign-in methods which is also used to accomplish hybrid identity, right? So Azure AD Connect would synchronize a hash of my user password. So password would not be synchronized to my Azure AD from my on-prem. It always synchronize a hash of the user's password from an on-premise AD instance to the cloud-based Azure AD instance, right? This PHS is an extension to the directory synchronization feature implemented by Azure AD Connect Sync. We can use this feature to sign into Azure AD services like M365, and we sign into the service by using the same password we use to sign into the on-prem Active Directory instance. Right? So I hope this made some sense to you, and you know the difference between PHS and pass-through authentication in Azure AD and how you implement it. Right? So if you have any further queries, please mention them in the comment section, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you. Have a good day.